how they can reach us. You understand? They know how they can reach us. The system, the matrix, mystery Babylon. You understand? They know how they can reach us. They start to release these so-called rumors and everything. They look at the crowd, the silly people, the useless eaters. You understand? And even though they love you one moment, they hate you the next. And now that he's dead, now they're going to say, oh, Michael Jackson, we love you, such and so forth and so on. But they all contribute. He was crying out for help. He was crying out just to be heard. You understand? He wasn't denying, oh yeah, okay, his face, his looks, whatever like that, so forth and so on, whatever you want to think about that, so forth and so on. But he's saying, listen, even though I'm a so-called celebrity or star, I don't have no sort of even privacy. They want to see my children. People say, oh, it's weird how he had his children with masks and everything else like that. You know how much money they wanted to make off of taking pictures of his children, because people who would not have any other job otherwise make money off of hounding certain people who they call stars, whom they raise up and then they tear down. This is all part of the system. Michael Jackson, from being a talented, loving musician, you understand, who wanted to share that talent, to share that entertainment with the world, became a product from the age of 6. You over this? Michael Jackson became a product from the age of 6. Can you imagine if from the age of 6, for about 44 years of your life, you were a so-called celebrity, or you were on this fast track? You understand? You don't know any other life. You try to express it over and over. I mean, come on, all the evidence is out there. What Michael Jackson tried to express it. Now, they still are talking about, oh, he's a king of pop, and, you know, the final note has not been sung, and there's so much that Michael Jackson's contributed to, and everyone is mourning and so sad, and then they dovetail these pedophilia stories that really have no real rhyme or reason or fact to it. And Michael Jackson went over and over. He tried to plead his innocence, and for the fairness, you understand, of a trial, to understand his perspective. And nobody presented and said, we have direct evidence or some real evidence that proves that he sexually molested anybody. But they hounded him as though more than the Catholic priests, them who are admitted. You see, the Catholic priests and the rest of these so-called people who are part of the system of things are admitted evildoers. The evidence mounts on what the Catholic Church has done to abuse little boys and so forth and so on. Not in no bed, not sharing the bed or allowing even the boys to sleep in their own bed, but abusing them right in the sanctuary of the church, where people talk about some God type of relationship. And now Michael Jackson, because you judge him by appearances. You see, that's why I said that. They've killed him. And all of y'all also contributed to all of us, if we want to say, in some way, either by denying him, saying that, oh yeah, Michael Jackson, like you hating him, but then you listen to his song and say, oh, I like that song, I like that. Hypocrites. You understand? Or by betraying him. You understand? One time you're a big fan, and now you hear some story which they don't present no evidence. There was no evidence of these things, but there's one rumor. This we find interesting. There's one particular rumor that they don't really talk about. They talk about the pedophilia, they talk about, you know, his children and his skin changes and his lifestyle and what he owns, how much money he has, dreamland, how much money he lost, what he's going to do, this and that, and his clothing and all these things they talk about. But they don't talk about the fact that it has been alleged and even reported in the media that Michael Jackson had converted to Islam. They don't talk about Michael Jackson's conversion to Islam. You understand? Or his brother, Jermaine. And this is known. Jermaine has gone on the record. You understand? But the allegations has been coming out ever since, like, what, 2009? You understand? Around the same time, you know, as Barack Obama was campaigning for the office of president and going right up to the election. I think came out in November, or maybe already began to come out in some media somewhere, that he converted to Islam. You understand? He went to Bahrain and, you know, to the Middle East and did business and so forth and so on, and owed some people and, you know, and some pictures also that basically show, you know what, maybe he did, there was a song, but that's really Zayn, was it Bika? Zayn Bika, I think the one who did the song about Allah. You understand? But it sounds like the person who Zayn sung a song about Allah that people think is Michael Jackson. He sounds a lot like Michael Jackson, so we can tell that Zayn, you understand, was inspired in some way by Michael Jackson. But we know that this is one of the rumors. This is a big rumor. Type in Michael Jackson and convert and Islam. You're going to find articles out there. You're going to find videos. You're going to find the fact that Jermaine Jackson also has become a Muslim. But this is not what the media reports. Have you noticed that? The media doesn't report that. So the media want to give you an impression that, well, the Islamic people, the Muslim people are terrorists. You understand? That's the idea they want to put out, and they've been putting out ever since 9/11, or they should be suspected of possible terrorism. But they want to tell you that people such as the Jacksons, Jermaine Jackson, and most likely probably Michael Jackson, if he did not embrace Islam and reject Christianity, he may have embraced Islam because many of the tenets, you understand, he may have found, you understand, are one and the same with the true tenets of Christ according to his acceptance and belief. But that's not one of the rumors that they put out there. You don't hear no one talk about those rumors in the mass media. The same media, the very same media that fed off of Michael Jackson for about 44 years is basically the same media that killed Michael Jackson, and now, even after his death, are seeking to profit off of Michael Jackson. And this is what started to really become very clear. You understand? As soon as we began, you know, as soon as we found out and began to check it out for ourselves, we said, ain't this something? Ain't this ironic? Ain't this just totally strange and ironic that this happens at this time, just a couple of days after they had showed pictures of his children. I forget which channel or which publication it had came out, and check the internet on that. But just recently, just a couple of days before it was announced that he had died of cardiac arrest or a heart attack, they had showed the faces of his children in the media. And who knows, maybe Michael Jackson had found out about that, and that just made him ill, because he already was suffering from this paparazzi, from this vampirism of the system, and he was calling out for help, trying to send the signs and signals in the music and many different albums that he started to gain a little more consciousness and the free will to really speak out, because he was speaking out a lot. He was talking about the media, the paparazzi, the system, so forth and so on. And with his influence, understand this, with his influence, if he had went to the concert, you understand, and announced at that concert that he's embraced Islam, or even did a song with the Muslim singer that sounds a lot like him, that a lot of people think is Michael Jackson, Zayn Bika, I think his name is. I know his first name is Zayn. You don't know what was on the agenda, but obviously something they found out that they killed him. And so this is a cabal. He was sacrificed. There's some important reason. I don't know whether because he's from Chicago or he was 44 years in the music industry. He won 13 Grammys and 13 #1 songs. I'm not too sure. Or 500 million or whatever dollars they want to say that he was in debt, or because of the Beatles collection that he owns, and Paul McCartney may want it, or his father had came over. We don't know what their relationship was like recently, or he might have been coming out to express that he had become a Muslim or is seeking to, or had embraced it. We know Jermaine is. I mean, that's a fact. Jermaine has said it. You know, you understand, on camera, in interview. It's a known fact. You find it out there. Just ask yourself, why don't media say that? So, not to go into this, to belabor this point right here too much. We're going to touch on it a little bit more, go into a little more depth of it, because right now we're in that period of a memorial for even Jackson. Because you know, when your eye become clear, you say, what? They crucified. They literally crucified Michael Jackson. And what's so unfortunate is that many of us did not really even see it until now. And some still are blind to that fact. They may look at the fact that he got money and they love money. You understand? You understand? So they can't see the evil that was done to that brother right there. You understand? And even the allegations, we have no evidence. So if we stand in judgment against Michael Jackson, as many already have in his life when he was alive, they contributed to his death. They contributed to it. I think there's a lot of angles to this. A lot much more is going to come out in the days and maybe weeks ahead. You understand, y'all woman? But I just want to put this on record at this very time. And, you know,
accept this hut of mine, standing in it all.